New Zealand!
How long were we there for?
We were there for a total of a month, which nowhere near long. If you want to see both North and South Island, best parts of both, I would say 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
There's too much to say about New Zealand in this video. You check out our website and the link below, and there we give a lot more detail about the places we stayed, the things we did, and how much things cost.
There's plenty to do in the way of sort of action sports. You can do your bungee jumping, your skydiving, loads of like canoeing, whitewater rafting, mountain biking. So the tips we have for you for New Zealand are, before you go, there are no visas required.
There is free internet at all the libraries.
When you're in the North Island, a great money saving tip is to keep an eye out for Pack and Save. They offer great deals on food, like you don't have to eat like a backpacker, you can have prawns, avocados, all of that is super cheap in the North Island. So also in Pack and Save they have petrol stations. So if you go around in a camper van or a car and you need to fill up, go to Pack and Save because they offer fuel vouchers when you buy food there or buy petrol, so it'll save you a little bit of money.
While you're in New Zealand, make sure that you plan a wine tour, because New Zealand is famous for its lovely wine.
An app that you need to download before you go to New Zealand is Campermate. Great just in general to find things to do, free things to do more importantly, all restaurants, free Wi-Fi, stuff like that. It's got it on there and it helps you so much. So we're going to tell you a little bit about getting around New Zealand and all the transport options that you have. We went from Auckland to Auckland, which turned out to be very stupid because we had to pay for the ferry twice. That's 2 lots of £110, which we could have spent on wine.
So, the first way that you could get around New Zealand is the Kiwi experience. If you're going to book the Kiwi experience, I would say it'd be quite a good idea to book it in advance. You can get early bird discounts, which makes life a little bit easier. But you've got to remember that when booking the Kiwi experience, it doesn't include accommodation, so you will have to book that on top. And that will cost on average about £15 per night per person. If you want to see the whole of New Zealand, there's lots of different routes on the website, but on average it will cost about £550. There's a lot of people that will be similar age to yourself if you're between the age of 18 and 30, let's say. And then you will pile on this bus and you meet so many people, you can have some wild nights out, and more importantly, every time you get on the bus to go to your new destination, they hand around a clipboard and with loads of activities that you can do, and you just sign up. So they pretty much organise everything for you too. Okay,
so the other option, if you want a little bit more freedom, is the Intercity. So this is basically the equivalent of doing the Kiwi experience, apart from you get to completely choose your route, completely get to choose what you do each day. There's no pressure into booking anything else. You choose what you get to book each day. So with the Intercity, you pay for the hours you drive. So they do anything from 15 to 60 hours, which ranges from £50 to £190. But you can also top this up if you want to do more as you're going around. So this is more just a public transport type thing, where you hop on, hop off when you want to, and like I said, it just gives you the complete freedom to go where you want, when you want.
And finally, the option that we would recommend, because we did it and we loved it so much, is campervanning. If you look into hiring a campervan while you're in New Zealand, the company that will most probably pop up on your Google search will be Jucy Campervans. Now, Jucy Campervans look amazing, and it is a huge company, so I guess that it could be the safer option going with them because they're well known, but they're also a bit more expensive. So if you hired a Jucy Campervan for a month, it would cost around £2,300. But we used Roadrunner Rentals, which is a smaller company. Randall, who runs the business, is a lovely guy. We spoke to him directly several occasions. In fact, we even had a problem where our sat-nav broke, and we just called him. The issue was sorted out straight away, and they're just really lovely company. This cost us about £1,600. So a lot cheaper than Jucy. We had a really good experience, so we would recommend that. Another thing that is very important to know if you're going to campervan around New Zealand is that you want to have a campervan that is self-contained. If you go on the Campermate app, there are so many campervan sites which are free of charge, that have toilets and are free of charge in amazing locations. And you can only stay at those campsites if you're self-contained.
So these free campsites have toilets, but the majority of them will not have showers. But we found it so easy to go to leisure centres, even some public toilets will have showers that you pay a small fee for, like £1, and you can have a shower there.
And they're all on Campermate, so you don't even have to do any research yourself.
New Zealand is a huge place, and certain parts of it are very remote. So if you're running low on petrol and you're in a remote area and you see a station, just fill up. Don't risk it because it's not worth it at all. So when we were there, we did about 4,000 kilometres, which is about 2,500 miles roughly, and that cost us £350 in fuel. So it's not too bad really. The cost of it, in the grand scheme of things, is not too bad.
And also you won't do what we did, which was start in Auckland, go all the way down and then come back up. So you could probably half our mileage.
So the only problems that we had on the road were learning the slightly different road rules in New Zealand. So we did get beeped and sworn off the road in the first few days, but you get over that. So if you see a massive lorry, which there are many of, coming up behind you, just pull over as soon as you possibly can.
Another thing about driving or campervanning around New Zealand is that there are lots of gravel roads. Now your insurance will not cover you if you're on these gravel roads, but in some cases it's definitely worth taking the risk and going down these gravel roads.
So the first place we went to when we were there was Rotorua. This is, if you want to see Maori culture, this is the place to go. So other things to do there is there's loads of natural thermal baths that you can visit, which are obviously nice just to chill and relax. As well as plenty of walks around the big lake at Rotorua and in the redwood forest, which is just outside. It's absolutely huge trees. One thing to watch out for is you will get a very pungent smell of egg when you're there, which is due to the sulphur that obviously heats the natural springs.
So we loved Lake Taupo. We stayed at Reed Farm Reserve, which is right next to the Waikato River. But it was so beautiful there. Literally, you could swim in the river all day, eat your dinner with these beautiful views. So when we were in Taupo, we did prawn fishing, which was hilarious. It was only about £14 per person, but it was a great day out. We only caught one prawn, but it was still worth it. Also in Taupo there is famous Hooker Falls, which is just down the road from the campsite that we stayed at. It's absolutely stunning again, definitely worth a visit.
There are hot springs in Taupo. These ones, for a change, are completely free. You'll be able to find them on Campermate. They're in I think it's called Hot Spring Park anyway, so it's very easy to find. The springs themselves are a little bit harder to find once you're in the park, but just ask anyone who's walking their dog or something and they'll point you in the right direction. Okay, so another place in the North Island that we went to was New Plymouth. Really loved it here. We stayed just outside in a place called Akora Beach. Really nice campsite that we had to pay £10 for, so it wasn't a free campsite unfortunately, but it was right on the coast, 2 steps away from the beach. It had really good barbecuing facilities there, nice toilets and everything. I'd highly recommend staying there. Really nice, wasn't it? And also actually in the town of New Plymouth, there's, if you're there on a rainy day, really good museum and visitor centre to go and see, just learn a bit about New Zealand.
Hamilton. I think by driving a camper van there are places that you will end up having to stay, and Hamilton was one of them for us. So near Hamilton there are the Glowworm Caves, Waitomo Glowworm Caves. We didn't actually go there because on Campermate it says that there are 3 caves that are just down the road. We went to these 3 caves, turns out there's no glowworms there. That's the only fault that we had with Campermate. So definitely make sure you go there because we didn't. Also when we were in Hamilton we went to Maricopa Waterfall. It was probably the best waterfall we saw on our whole journey. All the different countries we went to. It was just such a cool waterfall.
Massive,
it was huge, absolutely stunning. So make sure you go there.
So at the very bottom of the North Island there is Wellington. Really nice city, we loved it there. And this is where you get the ferry from if you go to the South Island, so you have to go through here and you want to go through here anyway.
So we stayed at Evans Bay Marina, which was free again on Campermate. It had free hot showers, obviously toilets, and it was just a really nice campsite. We really recommend staying there if you're campervanning around.
So the things to do in Wellington is you can go and see Weta Caves, which is where all of the editing and things like that were done for Lord of the Rings. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, then it's well worth going to see the little museum as well that you can go around. On the waterfront in Wellington, it's really nice by the harbour, and we went for a little walk around there and we saw a couple of stingrays just swimming around in the harbour, and there's also like little, just quirky little things like there's a diving board into the harbour that lots of locals were using. It was quite fun to watch. So from Wellington you can get the Interislander ferry, which is the cheaper out of the 2 companies, so I'd recommend that one for £110. Going over to the South Island is really beautiful, like getting a ferry through the Sound.
Our first stop in the South Island was Kaikoura. Now this is famous for whale watching, dolphin watching, and you can also swim with the dolphins, which is quite cool. We booked a trip and unfortunately it was really bad weather, so we were unable to go, but it should cost around £65. If you don't see a whale while you're out at sea, then they actually give you, I think, 80% of the ticket back. Yeah, so it's a pretty good deal.
After our disappointment in Kaikoura, we went down to Christchurch, and so this is where the earthquake happened not long ago, and it's still really suffering from it. Almost nothing has been rebuilt.
A lot of people think that because the earthquake hit, I think it's over 5 years ago now, that the city is totally normal, back up and running, when it's really not. But there's loads of cool...
It's a cardboard cathedral.
Which is pretty cool.
And a shipping container shopping centre. So when we were there, we were lucky enough to stay with Stephen, Liz and their dog Benson, which we were very appreciative of, and we had a lovely stay with them.
After Christchurch, we headed down to Kaikoura. We only spent the day there, but it was lovely. It was like right on the waterfront. It's got a French feel with French food and French buildings. It was just really lovely.
Also, the drive over there is over a big mountain range, so from one side you get to look all the way over Christchurch, the other side you get to look all the way over Kaikoura and the lake.
Also, in the Christchurch area, we took another day trip to Lake Tekapo, which was again absolutely stunning. We got some great pictures from here, so again make sure you visit our website if you want to see pictures of all these places. When we went to the lake, we also took a visit to the thermal pools there, which is about £15 per person. They've got several different pools at different thermal temperatures, so that was really fun.
I top of the South Island there's a place called Abel Tasman National Park, which, as far as we could tell, not a lot of people had heard about. Kiwi Experience doesn't go there, and probably a favourite place in New Zealand, would you say?
I would say 100% a favourite place in New Zealand.
So our first stop was Marahau, which is on the east side of the national park. You can't actually stay in the national park unless you camp. From here you pay about £100, which sounds a lot, but you get a kayaking trip around all the little bays and around Tonga Island, which is where you can see baby fur seals.
Which swam underneath our kayak, and they're known to jump onto the kayak.
Marahau is where the trail starts for the national park. So you can start walking for 3 days, I think you can go for, and there's loads of campsites along the way if that's what you want to do. But because we were in a camper van, we walked 3 or 4 hours to a nice little beach or a bay, stop there for lunch, and then turn around and come back, it was literally like being in Jurassic Park, wasn't it?
Yes. So, also in the Abel Tasman National Park area, we stayed at Takaka, I think it. This place is hippie central. If you like rock climbing, smoking weed, and just living a hippie life, then you'll love it there. Although we aren't into rock climbing or smoking weed, we still had a really good time there. We found this place called Wild Earth. You can take a walk down to the river and you feed wild eels, and they're night eels. What are they called? Literally put some food on a stick and feed to these eels. It's the weirdest experience, but it's really cool.
On our campermate, we found these free caves called Raviti caves, just outside Takaka, and then you basically just park up in this random field and walk to these caves. But be warned, because it is like that, walking up the side of these. It's like literally a side of a mountain for about an hour. Very tough walk, but the cave itself is absolutely amazing. It's over 1 million years old. Pretty cool. Just outside Takaka there is a place called Pupu Springs, which they're considered a very sacred spring, I suppose. You can't even touch the water or take the water away. The place is considered sacred by the Maori culture.
We went there on a rainy day, so it wasn't beautiful like the pictures, but type it into Google and you'll see how stunning it is on a good day. So our next stop was Toroganu. Is that how you say it? I'm not sure. It's just on the outside, so you go to Toroganu and then from there you can go trekking in the park. It's like the opposite side of the park because the park is huge. The campsite here is absolutely stunning. It's right on the seafront, so you've got a great beach there, and the hiking trails from there are so good. The only thing that we would warn you about is that to get to Toroganu, you have to go on a gravel road. It's not too bad, we did it, our camper van was fine. Again, if you're worried about insurance not covering you, it won't if you have a crash, so be really careful.
So our final stop in the South Island was Nelson. It's like a really nice little town, but we didn't have much time here because we were in a rush to get back to our ferry. So we didn't get a chance to do the winery tours and stuff. That's where you do them from, basically, is Nelson.
Make sure you do a wine tour.
So in total, we spent £1,900 each. That was including the camper van, all the campsites, all of our food, everything.
So like we said at the beginning, we couldn't fit everything we wanted to into this video, so make sure you go to our website and then we'll have prices of everything we did and pictures for you to look at.
It is in such a big place, it's difficult to fit into one video without boring you to death.
Which we probably already